The grocery store lights flickered slightly as Lana Myers mopped aisle 9 for the second time. She had learned to stop questioning the fluorescent ghosts overhead. They blinked like weary sentinels, tired of watching tired people. It was just after 6 in the evening, her second shift of the day, and the muscles in her back had already begun to scream for mercy. But mercy wasn't something she had time for. By day she stocked shelves. By evening she served lukewarm coffee to grumbling truckers. And by night she scrubbed bloodstains and bleach crust from hospital floors. She had turned 42 in March. She hadn't celebrated. Birthdays felt offensive now. Little reminders that time still moved forward, even when your life stood still. Her phone buzzed in the apron pocket. She glanced at the screen. Noah missed call, 2x. New message. You working late? She sighed, fingers moving automatically. Reply. Yes, eat something. There's chili in the freezer. Don't wait up. Noah. 23, tall, quiet, his father's temper buried under his mother's silence. He hadn't worked in over a year, not since the night the tow truck he was in flipped into a ditch. 2 busted ribs, a shattered wrist, and a court hearing that never came. Just enough chaos to cut his life loose from whatever anchor it had. He hadn't gone back to college. He hadn't gone back to much of anything. Lana had hoped time would repair what it broke, but time was a lazy mechanic. By the time she clocked out and drove home in her beat-up sedan with the broken heater dial, it was nearly 10. The small rental house stood dark except for the thin slice of yellow light beneath Noah's door. She didn't knock. She'd stopped knocking months ago. She heated water on the stove, brewed tea that tasted like boiled cardboard, and collapsed into the couch without taking off her shoes. A calendar on the fridge marked bill dates, paydays, and one circled note that read simply, March. Decision? She didn't want to remember what that meant. Sometime after midnight, she dragged herself to the bedroom and set the alarm for 4:30. She would be at the hospital by 5, scrubbing rooms that reeked of ammonia and endings. Still, she reminded herself, at least hospitals paid on time. She had barely closed her eyes when a dull thud came from the front porch. Then another. She froze, listened. A third thud, softer, like a body folding onto itself. She bolted upright, grabbed the small flashlight from her nightstand, and crept toward the front door. When she pulled it open, the breath caught in her chest. Noah was slumped against the wall, hoodie soaked in something dark, knuckles scraped raw. Noah, she whispered, kneeling beside him. Jesus Christ, what happened? I'm okay, he murmured, eyes unfocused. It's not my blood. The words hit her like a slap. Not his blood? She didn't ask more. Not yet. She helped him to his feet, led him inside, and sat him down at the kitchen table. His hands trembled as she cleaned them. You need to tell me, she said quietly. Where were you? He didn't answer. Instead, he looked past her, toward the calendar on the fridge. Something went wrong, he said, almost like a child. I didn't mean to. The next morning, Lana went to work like nothing had happened. But inside, something had shifted. Something irreversible. And somewhere, someone else's mother was waking up to an empty bed, a phone that would not ring, and a silence that would not end. Lana hadn't spoken to Noah all morning. Not because she didn't want to, because she didn't know how. She had stared at him for long stretches before leaving for work, waiting for him to say more. But he just lay on the couch, hoodie zipped up to his throat, eyes fixed on the ceiling fan, like he was watching something only he could see. She left a bowl of oatmeal on the table before stepping out into the brittle Indiana wind, the taste of last night's blood still fresh in her memory. By the time her shift at the diner ended, her feet felt like sacks of gravel. She barely noticed the click of her name tag hitting the locker door, or the dull voice of her manager calling, "See you tomorrow, Lana." She walked to her car in a trance, her thoughts swirling, trying to form something solid from the chaos. She needed answers, but not from Noah, from someone who wouldn't lie to her face. Rick Scott's garage was on the edge of town, past the train tracks and next to a paint-chipped liquor store with bulletproof glass. He'd been a friend of her late husband, and for years, he'd let Noah sweep the floors and learn his way around an engine when school got too claustrophobic. She hadn't seen him in months. Lana Myers, Rick muttered as she stepped into the fumes and metal clang of his workshop. Damn, it's been a while. Too long, she said. I'm here about Noah. Rick's brow tightened. He in trouble? I don't know yet. He wiped his hands on a rag. He came around last week, seemed twitchy. Not like he was high or anything, just nervous. Looking for something, or someone. Who? Didn't say. but I saw him get into a car with Casey Miller a few days back. That name still ring a bell? It rang. It screamed. Casey Miller had been a specter from Noah's teenage years. A fast-talking dropout with a chin full of scars and a glove box full of pills. Lana had always tried to keep Noah away from him. But some people have gravity, and some boys don't have anchors. Are you sure? I don't forget a face like his, Rick said grimly. If Noah's tangled up with Casey again, you need to pull him out. Fast! She left the garage with her fingers digging into her palms. Casey Miller. If he was back in town, trouble wasn't far behind. She couldn't go to the police. Not with the way Noah looked last night. Not with the words, "It's not my blood," still echoing in her head. She would have to find Casey herself. That night, Noah wasn't home. Lana paced the kitchen like a metronome, checking the window every 5 minutes, texting him until her battery died. Her third shift loomed, the hospital waiting, the time clock ready to punish her for every minute late. But she couldn't leave. At 2 in the morning, the door creaked open. Noah stepped in, face pale and gaunt. Lana rushed to him. Where were you? I went to see someone. Who? He hesitated. I needed to know if I was right, about what happened. Then tell me. He looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time in months, she saw the child in his face, the one who used to bring her dandelions and broken robot toys. I think I killed someone, he said. Silence flooded the room. He sat down, hands clenched in front of him like he was waiting for cuffs. It was me and Casey. He said we were just meeting some guys, small-time dealers, nothing heavy. I wasn't even supposed to go inside, but one of them pulled a knife. Casey freaked. I grabbed the gun. You had a gun? It was his. I didn't plan anything. He was gonna stab Casey, and I didn't even think. I pulled the trigger. He stared down at his hands like he didn't recognize them anymore. They ran, left me with the body. Lana's breath came shallow and fast. Did anyone see you? I don't know. She stood there, frozen. A scream wanted to come up through her chest, but she swallowed it. There wasn't time for panic. Not yet. Listen to me, she said, her voice hoarse. We'll figure this out. But right now you need to stay here. Do you understand? No more wandering. No more meeting anyone. He nodded, eyes distant. Lana sat beside him. For a while, neither spoke. Then quietly she asked, Who was he? The man who died? Noah shook his head. I don't know his name. He was just there. And now he's not. The weight of it settled between them. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the windows like something trying to get in, or something trying to get out. The body was found 2 days later. An anonymous report. Shot once in the chest. Left behind a pawn shop, half covered in snow, like someone tried to erase him and failed. The news reached Lana in the break room of the hospital. A nurse had left the television on. It was the middle of the night. She was sipping bitter coffee from a paper cup when the headline slid across the bottom of the screen. Police identify victim in recent South District shooting. She didn't hear the name, but she saw the street. She saw the chain-link fence. She saw the white tarp. It was enough. Her hands tightened around the cup until the lid buckled inward. Noah had said nothing that morning. He just sat on the porch with his coat zipped up and his hood over his eyes, smoking a cigarette he didn't finish. He had never smoked before the shooting. Not once. He didn't come back inside. Lana knew she couldn't keep him hidden. Not forever. She had bought them time, not safety. And time ran like sand in this town, fast and unforgiving. She needed answers, not guesses. She remembered a name from Noah's story. Someone who had been there. Not part of the shooting, but close enough to see how it unfolded. Nicole Jenkins. Noah had dated her a lifetime ago. Just 3 months. Enough to matter, not enough to end well. Nicole was sharp, always had been. The kind of girl who wore anger like perfume and didn't blink when boys lied. Lana hadn't seen her since high school, but someone at the diner mentioned she was still around, working at the tattoo shop on Mill Street. The bell above the door jingled as Lana stepped inside. The walls were lined with framed sketches. Angels with wolf eyes, roses pierced by daggers, saints with broken halos. A thin veil of antiseptic hung in the air. Nicole looked up from her phone at the counter. She hadn't changed much. Dyed red hair, black eyeliner, silver ring in her lip. A little older, a little sadder. Can I help you? I need to talk. It's about Noah. Nicole's face hardened. If he sent you, he didn't. He doesn't know I'm here. Nicole glanced at the back hallway, then motioned to a small bench near the window. Say what you need to. Lana sat down slowly. He told me what happened. The shooting. I need to know the truth. Nicole didn't answer right away. She toyed with the silver ring on her hand, eyes focused somewhere beyond the wall. I was there, she said finally. Not at the moment, but close. A few of us met at Vic's that night. Casey was there, loud as ever. Noah looked like he wanted to disappear. Did they talk to anyone before they left? Nicole nodded. 2 guys, strangers. One of them was twitchy, the kind that checks every corner of the room like he's waiting to get jumped. Did you know their names? No, just their eyes. Lana leaned in. Nicole, did you see the shooting? No, she said too quickly, then softer. But I saw them run. Casey first, then Noah, seconds later. His face. He wasn't angry. He looked sick, like something inside him had cracked. Lana felt the air leave her lungs. Please, she said, barely a whisper. Can you tell me this wasn't murder? Nicole looked at her for a long moment. Noah didn't want to be there. He didn't pull the trigger because he wanted to. I'm not excusing it, but he's not the monster they'll paint him as. That was all Lana needed. She left the tattoo shop and drove home through falling snow. The town blurred past. Gas stations, closed pharmacies, boarded up lots. She had once thought this place might be kind to them, that if she worked hard enough, kept her head down, followed the rules, something good might grow from all this ruin. But now she saw it clearly. This town didn't care who you were, only what you could survive. At home, Noah was asleep on the couch, curled into himself like a boy much younger than 23. Lana pulled a blanket over him, brushed a strand of hair from his forehead, and sat beside him in silence. He stirred. I saw him die, he'd whispered. I keep seeing it, every time I blink. She didn't speak. I didn't want to do it, but I did. And now I don't know how to fix it. You can't fix death, she said quietly, but you can choose what you do next. He looked at her, eyes red. Do you think I'm evil? She shook her head. I think you were scared. I think you're still scared. And I think you're mine. Outside, the snow kept falling. Soft, slow, like the sky itself was tired. Lana didn't sleep that night. She sat with her back against the door, waiting for something, anything, to tell her what came next. Lana was running out of moves. She felt it in her breath, in her bones, in the weight behind her eyes every time she blinked too long. Each morning she woke up not knowing whether her son would still be in the house. Every knock at the door sent ice through her spine. Noah was no longer just hiding. He was disappearing in pieces. And somewhere out there, Casey Miller was walking free. She had spent hours calling old contacts, the ones she swore she would never speak to again after her husband's death. They didn't know much. Casey was a ghost. No fixed address, no job, no real friends. Just rumors. Someone had seen him at a dive bar on Route 4. Another claimed he was running packages for people who didn't ask questions. But no one was willing to do more than whisper his name. Cowards, she thought. Or maybe just smart. At the end of her patience, Lana made a decision. She went back to Rick Scott. The garage was quieter this time. Late afternoon. Rick was under the hood of a rusted Ford. Grease caked into the lines of his hands like permanent ink. When she walked in, he didn't look surprised. Still digging? He asked. Lana nodded. I need more. Anything. Rick wiped his hands, gave her a long look. I shouldn't get involved, he muttered. You know that. I know. I'm asking anyway. He sighed, leaned against the workbench. Casey's been circling a guy named Flint. Real name's Jeremiah Dawson. Works out of the storage yards east of the freight terminal. Sells parts, mostly stolen. But he trades other things too. Guns? Could be. Drugs, maybe. Bad ones. And he keeps records. That caught her attention. What kind of records? Everything. He's paranoid. Keeps photos, names, times. If Casey brought someone new into a deal, there's a chance Flint logged it. Lana stood straighter. Where can I find him? Rick hesitated. Don't do this alone, Lana. She didn't answer. Because she already had. That night, she left Noah asleep on the couch and drove east, past the edge of town where the streetlights stopped. The storage yard sat behind two fences, one of them half collapsed. Dogs barked in the distance. An old trailer office sat near the gate, light bleeding through a cracked window. She parked 2 blocks away and walked the rest, jacket zipped, breath steaming in the cold. Every step closer made her hands sweat. What was she doing? A woman with no gun, no backup, walking into the kind of place that chewed people up? But then she thought of Noah. His face the night he came home bloodied. His voice when he said, "I think I killed someone." She knocked. The man who opened the door was built like a refrigerator. Bald, arms sleeved in tattoos that looked like prison ink. "What?" he barked. "I'm looking for Flint." "Who's asking?" "Someone with a problem only he can solve." The man stared at her. Then slowly he stepped aside. Flint sat at a desk cluttered with tools, wires, memory cards, receipts. He was thin, with a twitch in one eye and a bandage on his left thumb. He didn't look up. "Tell me quick, lady." "I'm here about Casey Miller." That got his attention. He looked at her hard. "You his girl?" "No. I'm the mother of the boy he set up." A pause. Then a grin, sly and crooked. "Which boy?" "Noah Myers." Flint leaned back in his chair. "That kid was jumpy. Didn't like the heat. Casey said he'd hold his own. Guess he was wrong. He didn't sign up for murder." "Yeah? Neither did the guy who died." Lana clenched her fists. "You keep records. I want them. Anything that proves Casey brought Noah into that meeting. Anything that shows Noah didn't plan what happened." Flint laughed once. "You think I just give that stuff away?" "No," she said. "But you're not doing it for free." She pulled a thick envelope from her bag and dropped it on the desk. Cash. Every tip, every saved penny, everything that wasn't rent or food. Flint opened it, flipped through the bills, then nodded once. He stood, walked to a cabinet, and pulled out a small hard drive. "This has photos, texts, time logs, maybe even the audio. Kid had a wire on his coat thanks to Casey being paranoid." Lana blinked. "What?" "Casey records everyone, doesn't trust silence." He tossed the drive into her hands. "Take it. I've got copies." She stared at him. "Why help me?" "Because your boy's not the first Casey's burned, and he won't be the last." Lana didn't sleep that night. She sat in front of an old laptop, watching grainy footage of her son being led into a trap. The video wasn't long, but it was enough. Casey's voice, his promises, his threats. "You just watch the door, kid. That's all. You're not even going inside." Lies. Every word. In the background, a man shouted, then a shot, then silence. The next morning, Lana showed Noah the footage. He watched it without a word, pale, hollow-eyed. When it ended, he looked at her. "What do I do?" "You tell the truth." He nodded. "But not yet," she said. "We need to find Casey first. Because if they didn't, Casey would find them. And next time, he wouldn't leave Noah breathing." The house was too quiet. Lana stood by the window, staring at the empty street. The snow from last week had turned to a dirty crust, and wind pushed garbage along the sidewalk like forgotten stories. She had always believed silence meant peace. Now she knew better. Noah hadn't spoken since she showed him the footage. He had barely eaten, barely moved. She heard him coughing at night, sometimes murmuring words in his sleep. Fragments of apology, fragments of memory. He was unraveling, and she was running out of time to hold him together. She needed to find Casey Miller, but ghosts don't leave footprints. Lana went back to Nicole Jenkins. The tattoo shop was closed when she arrived, but the lights were still on. Nicole opened the door with her sleeve rolled up, a fresh bandage taped to her arm. Her eyes were wary. "I didn't think you'd come back. I need your help." Nicole leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "What kind of help?" "You know how to find Casey." Nicole hesitated. "No, I don't." Lana didn't move, didn't blink. Nicole looked away. "I haven't seen him in over a week, but I know someone who might know where he's crashing." "Who?" "His cousin. Name's Ray. Works at that pawn shop near 8th. He's always covering for Casey. If anyone's dumb enough to still talk to him, it's Ray." Lana nodded. "I need that address." Nicole sighed. He's not going to tell you anything. Not unless you give him a reason. Lana pulled out her phone, brought up the still image from Flint's footage. Casey's face, caught mid-sentence, standing beside Noah. This enough? Nicole looked at the screen. Yeah, she said softly. That'll do. The pawn shop stank of dust and sweat. Guitars hung from the walls like forgotten trophies. Ray sat behind a glass case, chewing sunflower seeds and pretending not to notice her. You lost? He asked. No, Lana said, walking up to the counter. I'm looking for Casey Miller. Ray's smile faded. That name doesn't mean anything here. I think it does. He snorted. Lady, whatever you think you're doing. She set her phone on the glass, pressed play. Casey's voice filled the air. Tinny. Cruel. You just stand watch. That's it. Don't ask questions. Ray flinched. Lana leaned in. I want to know where he is. Now. Or I send this to every phone in this town. Ray stared at her. A pause. Then another. Finally, he said, Warehouse. Behind the old bowling alley. 3rd unit. He stays there when things get hot. Is he armed? Ray laughed once. Always. That night, Lana returned home to find Noah sitting on the porch steps, hoodie pulled low, cigarette between his fingers. He didn't look up when she approached. I know where Casey is, she said. Silence. He's not going to come forward. He's not going to take responsibility. And he's not going to stop looking over his shoulder until you're gone. I don't care what he does, Noah murmured. I'm ready. Lana sat beside him. Ready for what? To confess. The words hit her like cold water. I killed someone, Mom. That's not something I get to walk away from. You didn't plan it. I still did it. His voice was calm, terrifyingly calm. I wake up and I see his face. That man. I didn't even know his name. I saw fear in his eyes before he fell. And now I live with that. Lana's throat burned. If you go to them, I want to go. She gripped his hand. You'll go, she said, but not empty-handed. He looked at her, confused. You'll go with the truth. 2 days later, they returned to Flint. He loaded the video, the audio logs, time-stamped texts, a full digital confession from Casey without even knowing it. Lana asked for one more thing, a printed timeline. She wanted to hand it over herself. She didn't trust screens. Screens could be erased. Flint didn't ask questions. He just handed her a thick envelope. Be careful, he muttered. If Casey finds out you've got this, he won't. She had no intention of giving him the chance. That evening, they sat at the kitchen table, everything spread before them. Footage, photos, copies of notes. Noah stared at the pile, then at her. I thought I'd feel better, he said. You will. Not today, but one day. Noah nodded. I want you to come with me. I will. They packed the file into a bag. Lana took his hand as he stood. He looked her in the eyes. You saved me, he said. Lana shook her head. No, I just refused to let you drown alone. But as they stepped outside, the sound of an engine made them freeze. A dark blue pickup truck parked across the street. The window rolled down. Casey Miller. His face was sharp in the half-light. His hand rested casually on the door. Lana felt her blood go cold. Thought you'd try something stupid, he called out. Noah stepped forward. Lana grabbed his arm. Let me talk to him, he said. No. But he was already moving. Casey got out of the truck. His hand stayed near his waistband. Where's my name, Noah? He asked, voice casual. In whatever little story you're writing with Mommy? Noah didn't flinch. You used me. You lied. You left me with a dead man. I saved your ass. No, Noah said. You saved your own. Casey's eyes narrowed. You don't want to do this. Lana stepped between them, calm but unshaking. We already did. She opened the bag, held up the envelope. Your voice, your plan, your timeline. Casey looked at her, then at Noah. Then something changed in his eyes. Not fear, resentment. He moved, fast. Lana saw the glint of metal, but before he could raise it, Tires screeched behind them. Sirens howled. Red and blue lit the night like a warning. Nicole had called someone. Lana didn't even have to look. Casey froze. 2 officers shouted, guns drawn. He dropped the weapon, dropped to his knees, and just like that, it was over. Later, as Noah sat in the back of the squad car, ready to turn himself in, he looked through the window at his mother. "I'm not afraid anymore," he said. Lana smiled through tears. "Then we've already won." It rained on the morning Noah turned himself in. Not the kind of rain that rushes in torrents, but a steady, hushed drizzle, as if the sky had nothing left to scream, only whisper. Lana stood outside the precinct doors, her jacket soaked, watching as her son disappeared into the glass building behind 2 officers. He hadn't looked back. She didn't expect him to. She didn't cry. She had done enough of that already. What she felt now wasn't grief. It wasn't even relief. It was stillness. For the first time in months, the chaos had quieted. The days that followed moved like wet concrete. Lana returned to work. Her body moved by habit, restocking soup cans, pouring coffee into cracked mugs, changing bedsheets that reeked of antiseptic and endings. The world kept turning, stubborn and indifferent. Most people didn't know. Those who did didn't ask. She had never liked pity. It felt like a soft kind of violence. But in the quiet moments, at red lights, in the break room, beneath flickering fluorescent bulbs, her mind slipped into the cold corridors of the detention center. She wondered if Noah was eating, if he was sleeping, if he was dreaming about the man who died, or the moment the gun cracked open both their lives. The law moved slowly. There was no courtroom drama, no public spectacle. The footage, the logs, the witnesses, all of it created a picture too complex to paint in black and white. Eventually, a charge was set. Manslaughter, not murder. The court would weigh his surrender, the evidence, the self-defense, the trauma, and the fact that, when given the choice, Noah did not run. Lana sat across from him 3 weeks later in a small gray room with a plastic table and a camera in the corner. His face was thinner, but his eyes were clearer. The haze that had once clouded his every word was gone. He smiled when he saw her. "Nice hair," he said. She snorted. "It's the same hair." "No," he said. "You look lighter." Lana didn't know what to say to that, so she asked the only question that mattered. "Are they treating you right?" He nodded. "Better than I thought." A pause. "I've been talking to someone. A counselor." Lana raised an eyebrow. "You?" He smirked. "Don't look so shocked. Turns out I have a lot to say." She reached across the table, touched his hand. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. He looked down. "I don't deserve that." "You don't have to," she said. "You just have to keep moving forward." Another pause. Then, "I want to write to him, the man, his family. I don't know what I'll say, but I need to try." Lana squeezed his hand. "You'll find the words." Outside, the rain had stopped. The town looked different now. Not better, not healed, but honest. Like it had finally taken off the mask. Nicole Jenkins visited sometimes, quietly, without warning. She never stayed long, just dropped by the diner, left a coffee on the counter, and nodded once from across the room. They didn't talk about that night. They didn't need to. In her silence, Lana found solidarity. Weeks passed. A court date was set, then pushed. Rick Scott replaced the brakes on Lana's car for free. He said it was nothing. She brought him pie. Flint disappeared, or maybe just moved further into the shadows. His storage yard was sold to a freight company. Lana hoped she'd never see his name again. Casey Miller stayed behind bars. There was no one left to speak on his behalf. He didn't ask for a deal. Didn't deny a word. Like a man who finally ran out of masks to wear. Then one evening, something unexpected arrived in Lana's mailbox. A letter. From Noah. Not the first. But this one was different. She opened it at the kitchen table, hands trembling. "Mom, I had a dream last night. We were at the lake again. I was 12. Dad was still alive. You were reading that book you hated. I kept skipping rocks and asking if you saw how far they went. You said you did, even when you didn't. You always said you did. I know I broke things. Not just that night, but before it. I broke myself in ways I didn't even see until now. But you never left. You never gave up. And that means more than I'll ever be able to explain. If they give me time, I'll take it. If they give me mercy, I'll accept it. But no matter what, I'm going to live. I'm going to live like someone who was worth saving. You did that. You and no one else. Tell the sky I said thank you for the rain. Love, Noah. Lana folded the letter and pressed it to her chest. She didn't cry. Not because there was no pain left, but because there was finally something else too. Hope. Later that night, she stepped out onto the porch, tea in hand. The street was quiet. No sirens, no headlights, no fear in her lungs. Just the soft hum of a town finally letting her breathe. She looked up at the stars, and for the first time in a long, long while, she smiled.